Hey, hello everyone. We're about to get started. Just making sure everybody can see my screen. Okay, thank you, Carnegie. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you everyone for joining the Nancy Tech Community Call for this month of February. Just a friendly reminder, all these meetings are recorded and will be posted to our YouTube community later. Now we have a networking session as part of this community call usually. And when we have that session, we normally cut that session out so that you can feel free to come off mute and talk and all of that. But if you don't want to be captured in the recording, you can disconnect now and watch the recording later, or just stay off mute and stay off camera. All right, here is our agenda for today. We just had our open walk-in time, so everyone could join us. Now we're in the meeting and the greeting and agenda time. We'll meet the team. I'll tell you a little bit about Nancy for those of you who may be new. We'll go through the speaker, sponsor, and volunteer call. We'll have a few community announcements, and then we'll get into the speaker time. And then after the speaker time, we'll go into networking and closing. And today we have two speakers. One of the speakers, Eric, our normal speaker for Balba. I'll be taking his spot today. He's unable to join us. But we also have Tyson and Ebenezer who also will be speaking on their topics. I keep on forgetting to change the slide, but I'm the host today. And here is our co-founding team for Nancy Tech, Harry, Sigil, Ezra, and Imani, who are all on the call. And then Nancy is a group for Microsoft professionals, tech business owners, and people that are interested in the Microsoft platform, particularly Microsoft Office 365, SharePoint Teams, and the Power Platform. We have monthly sessions around this tech as well as around tech careers, and we have networking time. So the links are on this slide, but we'll also have the QR codes at the end on the last slide for you to be able to scan the QR code and go directly to these places to join. But you'll want to join the company page so that you can get to the next events, and the community page for Nancy for discussion and Q&A. You can also get social with us, and we're on WhatsApp if you do the search for us as well. All right. So we're going to continue to do the call, every community call. We're always looking for new speakers. So even if it's your first time speaking, you could be a veteran speaker. We'd love to for you to join us and to speak for one of our sessions. The topics that we're looking for are tech topics around Microsoft Office 365, around Power Platform, but we'll also take related tech topics. Also, we need topics around tech career as well as career in general. So if you have a great LinkedIn session or other, maybe a session on social media and branding, how to use that as a individual to your benefit, we love those types of topics. So again, whether you're a veteran or a first timer, we'd love to have you. You can scan the QR code and fill out the form, and then we'll schedule you to join us to speak for one of the calls. It's a great resume builder. Okay, for those who may be interested in sponsoring the group, right now we're not having in-person meetings. Right now we're just online, but soon we'll be back in Ghana, so we'll have in-person as well as online part of the session. And for the in-person events, we would like to have a sponsor who would donate either funds or in-kind donations for swag, for the food for the in-person meetings, for prizes, things like that. And we also will be planning a tech conference, and we'll need sponsors for that as well. So if you're interested in sponsorship, you can reach out to us and we will give you those details. Volunteering. So volunteers, we love to have more volunteers. Currently, we have I believe we have 3, although one of them we may have lost. But we'll see. Well, anyway, we need help with hosting the monthly meetings, with the meeting planning, speaker engagement, community engagement, sponsor engagement, and the conference planning for the most part. If you volunteer with us for about 3 months, we will give you a letter of recommendation. So that's another great resume boosting thing that you could do. And speaking of the volunteers, I wanted to give a huge thanks to the volunteers. Priscilla, Harrison, and Amazing, which Priscilla, apologies, got you confused with Amazing earlier. But thank you so much for volunteering and helping us with our Nancy community call. All right. So now let's go into community announcements. So there's a few announcements that we're going to give you. So the first one coming up pretty soon, March 1st, in the Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra, will be the Ghana FinTech Awards. We haven't been there yet, but we heard it's like, yeah, look at the picture. It looks awesome. So if you can join, you might want to look that up and find out how you could be a part of the FinTech Awards, especially if you're into FinTech. Then there's the Ghana AI Summit and Awards Night. That will be March 27th in the Knowledge Innovations Owusu Oko Edja in Accra, Ghana. So if you're interested in AI, which we all should be very interested in AI, and how it's moving forward, not only in Microsoft, but across all the technologies. This is a great summit for you to join. And then last but not least, Africa's largest digital, or at least they purport it to be, largest digital learning summit, which will be May the 7th through the 9th. But actually, this is going to be in Tanzania as opposed to being in Ghana. So if you want to get some of those flight miles in, you can do so and join this conference. All right. This is a community for teaching and sharing knowledge. So each one teach one, takes a community for everybody to learn. Please invite your friends and your colleagues to join our community call if they are interested in Microsoft Tech or in tech career and would like to have a community to be a part of. All right, before we get into our speakers, we always have a video that gives you a little bit more clarity around Microsoft Office 365, Teams, SharePoint, Power Platform, how they can be used in day-to-day life, whether it be personal or work. So we have one on how a product marketer uses Office 365. So here we go. Let me make this a little bit smaller.
I'm an adventurer, I'm an explorer, I'm a people person, I'm a lover and a fighter. My name is Kristen Hill. I am a product marketer, an entrepreneur, and a musician. New York is a marketer's dream. People are here for the purpose of expressing themselves. Not many people hold it back. What I like about being a marketing professional is that it is a job that forces you to walk in someone else's shoes. It forces you to try to see through someone else's lens. You need a team that has different perspectives, and then when you have that, you can round out something great. As a marketer, I find myself often sitting in between a number of different groups. So you feel pulled in a lot of different directions, but you also feel fulfilled probably more often than most other working professionals. OneNote is my lifeline. Everything has to start in OneNote. I kind of let my ideas flow. I use OneNote to kind of catch it all, and then I can review it later. That often informs the decks that I'm building. I'm pulling most of it out of my meeting notes from OneNote. I need someone to put some fresh eyes on any deck that I'm working on in PowerPoint. I throw it on OneDrive. I can quickly see where they have added content for me or made quick comments that I can respond to in real time as it's synced right up to Skype for Business, which we live on all day. Collaboration is probably the most important part of being in marketing. Office 365 is truly built for teamwork and collaboration, and we try to test the limits of it on a daily basis. I have to feed my soul. Everything that I do outside of work is tied to music somehow. When I'm at the studio, I am typically surrounded by any number of my very talented friends. We are writing, we are humming, we are riffing, we are creating, trying to be inspired by each other to make something great. OneNote, it's always right there, and I am sharing ideas, melodies, and lyrics that I've started working on. Anytime I come with a new idea, we are straight to the moon together. The time that I have been able to spend in New York is full of so much adventure and so much feeling. I can't keep it all contained. I have to. The goal with that, I hope maybe someone else will feel something. Then I'll know I've done it right.
Alrighty, let me move on. Okay, there we go. All right, so that was a great little video showcasing how you can use Microsoft Office 365 in the day of a life of a marketer. So we'll continue to bring those types of videos to you to give you more examples on how the platform can be used in your work life as well as in your personal life. All right, so now we're going to have our speaker time. So first, we normally have Eric, who's going to do, who usually does a presentation about the Baobab platform. I'll do that presentation because Eric is unable to join us. Then next, we'll have Tyson, who is going to talk to us about AI and scaling tech content without using the human touch. And Ebenezer, who is going to talk about the security field and the opportunities therein. Okay, so just pretend that I'm Eric and we'll get into talking about the Baobab platform, which is a platform that helps you be successful during your careers, especially in the tech field. So Baobab is a platform for Africa, made by Africans, but other folks can join. So even being an Africa buff from the diaspora or not even being an African, you can also join the platform and contribute as well as learn. It was built on the MasterCard platform for internal learning. And the team that was using it on the Africa side, they decided that they wanted to expand it so that external people can also join in. And so there's a bunch of different things that Baobab is that it makes up Baobab. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how you can join, the profiles, the features, networking, and why you should join. So again, it's a platform, it's a social platform, but it's also a professional platform and a learning platform. So think of LinkedIn, but in a more in a different type of context, different look and feel. But a lot of the things are still there. The networking is still there. The community learning, except for the learning there is free, is still there. The social aspect is still there. And you can join Baobab by going to baobabplatform.org. You could just sign up for free. There's a thing in there when you sign up. It says which program are you part of. You don't have to select any of those things. You just sign up. There's also a tutorial on how you sign up at the link when you get the slides, when the slides are posted, or you can go back to a previous slide deck for this community and find these slides as well. and get to that link to help you sign up. All right. So it has a few different features. So there's the feed, just like you have in the social and your other social media platforms, the feed that allows you to share posts, but also allows you to see other people's posts. So it could be around achievements, there could be pictures, there could be announcements, things like that. So you can post things and others can see what you post and you can see what others post. There are courses that are available for free. And there's certification for the courses once you completed it that's awarded. Again, completely free, and there's lots of different courses on the Balba platform from the professional to the technical. So you might want to check that out. As I said, lots of different ones. So those foundational skills, your entrepreneur skills, um, even the work readiness and transformative leadership type topics are there as well. Then there's the opportunities, the different types of opportunities that you could join in. So, like the scholarship programs, the employer partnership opportunities, the give back circle. There are other things that you could join, internships, jobs that people post. So, it's something that you really want to make sure that you look into. You can also find a mentor on the Balba platform. So the mentors can provide you with guidance and advice on different things that are going on in your personal as well as your career life. So you might want to, if you don't have a mentor, even those of us who are later in career. So I've been in tech for over 20 years now. I still tend to keep mentors, even if I don't talk to them all the time. And I have people that I mentor. So it's always best to have a mentor, but as well, you might want to mentor someone else as you go further into your career. So these are all the benefits that you get. Now it says benefits for university students, but you don't have to be in the university at the time of signing up or using any of the features or functionality on the platform they're in. So it's free for everyone to join. There's lots of opportunity for learning, for networking, for getting your own personal brand out there, and other career development and professional development things. And it's bilingual, so it's English and I forget the other one, the other language. But there's two languages available right now. There's messaging, there's notification, and of course you have your menu. As I said, anyone can join, and there's a Balba app that you could put on your phone. All right. Now, why university students should really join? There's lots of professional development courses that you can take. There's the mentorship. There's, the ability to find internships and things. So it is a definite must for those of you who are in university or freshly graduated and you're trying to find a way into your career. You definitely want to be on this platform. So that is the end of my slides or Eric's slides for this part of the presentation or this part of the session. Does anyone have any questions? All righty. Then on that note, we are going to go to, whoopsie, whoopsie, come on now, slides. Okay, there we go. We are going to go to Tyson, who is going to talk on AI meets creativity, scaling technical content without losing the human touch. So Tyson, you ready?
I'm ready. Good morning or afternoon,
Good
depending
morning.
on where you're at.
Or afternoon, yeah.
I'm going to share my screen here with you guys.
All righty.
All right. Can everybody see that? Yes.
It's coming up. Okay, got it. I see it now.
Got it? All right, I am Tyson Payne. I'm going to talk this morning about using AI to create content in the tech industry and how to make that come off as authentic and not limit yourself by using that technology. I've been in marketing for 20 years, and I have a marketing agency called Smart Start, and we focus on startups, new businesses, businesses that are rebranding, as well as everything else. And today we're going to talk about using AI technology creatively, and we're going to talk about how to scale and meet that demand for making more and more content without losing that human touch and feel. So tech companies have a lot of pressure right now to create a lot of content, blogs and emails and social media and new website content and Google ads even, and meeting that demand. It can be really expensive. It can be resource intensive. It can be labor intensive. And so companies that are trying to scale and grow might find it unsustainable to have all of that created, um, manually from top to bottom. And so you're going to start thinking like, well, what if I use AI? And in this case, I mean generative AI. So I mean ChatGPT and Gemini and those kinds of platforms to help generate ideas or generate the content itself. But there are some concerns with that. One being that the content loses that personal connection and it can become generic where everything starts to sound the same. And audiences now can spot inauthentic content, right? Like I'm sure you've noticed yourself doing it when you're hanging out on social media or you're reading a blog post or you're reading something where you'll think this was AI, this was generated by AI, um, and people are really smart and we pick up on things really quickly, and already the market understands when something is authentic or when it's not. But that doesn't mean that AI can't be helpful. It just means you have to know how to use it to make sure that your brand is coming through, your voice is coming through. So the key to making your AI content sound authentic, and the thing that I teach other companies and I teach other teams, is how to write the perfect prompt. So I came up through the marketing industry as a content writer. I've been an editor for many years. And when AI first came out, when generative AI first came out, ChatGPT, I thought, oh, we're all going to lose our jobs. And I worried about it for about a week. And then I thought, the only way is up. So I'm going to figure this out. And I have learned that training the AI model to give you back a good response all comes from writing the perfect prompt and asking the right questions from the platform, whatever platform you use for AI. So two things that you need from your prompt is a high quality prompt, because every time you talk to your, like whatever platform you use, I say ChatGPT because that's one I use, but you can use, any of the platforms. Every time you talk to it, you're teaching the machine to recognize your voice. And so the more information that you can put in each time you talk to the machine, the more it's going to start to sound like you. And then in terms of creativity, if you want things to sound authentic and original, you have to put in a prompt that's authentic and original. And I'm going to show you some examples. So some of the things that you want your prompt to do is be specific. So you want to tell the AI or tell the machine what you want it to sound like in terms of tone, style, professionalism, what you want the outcome to be. You want to give some context. So you want to take other examples of content that you like on the same subject and say, hey, I was thinking something like this. You can give URLs. You can say, here's the client's website, or here's the client's bio, or here's a portfolio, or here's any information that can help establish that voice. And also AI has a problem with being inaccurate or untruthful because it's not producing facts, it's just producing information, which doesn't necessarily mean true. So if you have resources or data and analytics that you can add in to help it stay on track, then that will increase your chances of getting something factual that you don't have to doctor a lot. Um, you also want to refine your results. So I almost never put in a prompt into my AI where I don't ask it a question or ask it to go deeper, to add more detail. Like if I'm making a presentation for a group and I say, hey, I want to talk about how to make a social media post for each channel. And it gives me a list of what to do. And I didn't love what it had to say about LinkedIn. I'll say, please go back to the LinkedIn post and make it more professional. Please go back to the LinkedIn post and make it apply to a wider audience or whatever I need. And it's okay also to disagree with the answer. Like AI is a machine, you're not going to hurt its feelings. And that's one of the big pros of working with AI is you can say, I didn't like that. Or sometimes I say, that's not funny. Or sometimes I say, that's the wrong kind of funny. Or I'll say, you missed the mark here. Can you please focus more on the consumer instead of a corporate presence or something like that? So don't be afraid to disagree with your AI. And remember, every time you interact in that way, you're training it to be better next time. So I just wanted to look at a few prompts of like a before and after. So in this one, I said, and I went into AI and I asked these prompts and then put the answers here for you without editing them before this so that I can show you how they come out differently. And keep in mind, these are kind of in my voice because my AI is trained to my voice, but so it might come out differently for you, but you'll see the difference between a refined prompt and a not refined prompt. So the first one I said was write a post about cloud computing. And that's just too simple. So I spiced it up by saying write a funny, engaging post explaining cloud computing to someone who's not tech savvy. Include an analogy comparing it to something in everyday life. So I know my audience. I know that they're not all the same level of professionalism in terms of their understanding of technology. And so I asked for an everyday example that could relate to a wider audience. So with the first one where I just asked for cloud computing, the AI said cloud computing in a nutshell. Cloud computing equals renting tech power online instead of owning bulky savers. Scale up or down instantly, work anywhere, and get top-notch security without breaking the bank. Basically, your business gets superpowers, no cape needed. So you can see how if you don't work in cloud computing or if it's not your job to worry about security for your company or those kinds of things, this might not really resonate. But when I asked for an everyday example as part of the answer, it said, cloud computing explained simply. Imagine your messy closet magically empties, but anytime you need your favorite shoes, poof, they appear instantly. That's cloud computing. Store your digital stuff elsewhere, get it whenever, wherever, no clutter, no hassle. So it gave a more simple example that would appeal to a wider audience so that I could pick up more engagement. So here's another example. This one I said, write an intro paragraph for a blog about cybersecurity. And when I spiced it up myself, I said, write a compelling introductory paragraph for a blog post titled 5 Cybersecurity Myths Putting Your Business at Risk. Start with a surprising statistic about cyber attacks on small businesses. So I already had a sense of where I wanted my blog post to go. I wanted it to give actionable tips and put them in like assign a number to it because that helps with organic traffic to say 3 reasons why, 5 reasons why. So I added that in and a statistic that would make the beginning more compelling so that people would keep reading. So in the original one, it just said, in today's digital world, cybersecurity is as essential as locking your front door at night. Threats evolve fast, but staying safe doesn't have to be complicated. This blog simplifies cybersecurity, giving you practical tips to protect your digital life. So it's understandable, but like yawn, like it's super boring. I wouldn't keep reading if I was the consumer. So with my enhanced prompt, it came back with that statistic that I wanted to hook people in. Did you know 43% of cyber attacks target small businesses? Many underestimate their risk, making them easy targets. Here are 5 cybersecurity myths putting your business in danger and how to protect yourself. So that added more of a sense of urgency. Your business is in danger now. Also, because it's trained to my voice, it gave me a statistic about small businesses because I work with small businesses the most, and gave them a reason to be engaged. Okay, this is the last one, and it's about social posts. So I put write a LinkedIn post about attending a tech conference, which is kind of what we're doing today. And when I spiced it up, I said, write an engaging LinkedIn post sharing 3 key takeaways from recent tech conference I attended, and with a thoughtful question to encourage conversation. So you can see I'm just trying to drive more engagement on my post. So the first one, it said, just got back from an amazing conference, great insights, exciting tech trends, and valuable new connections, feeling energized and inspired. If you attended, let's connect. But after I asked it to be more engaging to the other attendees, it said, just back from the conference, top 3 takeaways. AI adoption is now critical, not optional. Cybersecurity starts with company culture. Human connections still drive tech innovation. Which trend matters most to you this year? So it asks my audience to engage and to join the conversation. So those are some examples of how you can spice up a post. There's some blogs on my website, or a prompt. There's blogs on my website too, if you want to take a peek at them about how to write the perfect prompt. And I know there are some concerns about AI and about if you use it that you'll run into some problems. So I thought we'd just address some of the common problems and how you can avoid those pitfalls. One problem is that there's a lot of times inaccurate or outdated information. So the AI models are only updated about every 6 months. And so the information in there is not even necessarily up to date. And again, AI is not trying to give you a factual answer, it's trying to give you a good answer. And those aren't the same thing. So having a really rigorous quality control process, having a good editor who can fact check things after the fact can save you from accidentally putting out misinformation. We talked about how people can recognize AI content now, and they don't appreciate it like they do when they know they're connecting with a real human. And so making sure that all content generated through AI needs to also go through a human touch before it's published. So don't ever just pull something straight from AI and publish it. I promise you that your audience will know. You want to put it through your own changes first, or have someone on your team who's assigned to going through and making that sound more like your brand voice and giving that connection to your audience. People worry about over-reliance on AI killing creativity on their team. That can certainly happen because people get in the habit of just letting the AI do the work for them, and they kind of lose that muscle, that creativity muscle, and learning how to flex it, learning how to create content creatively. So asking your team to focus on that AI training, to focus on that perfect prompt, and to put more into what they're getting out of their AI, that actually grows creativity and helps get you thinking about what it is that you actually want to say to the audience when you're asking AI for help, and that can really feed creativity. You might also be worried about losing originality, emotion, nuance, the human touch, right? The things that make us humans that really can't be replaced. And finding that balance between what you're automating and what you're putting in authentically is the sweet spot. So AI can save you a lot of time. Generative AI can save you a lot of time in terms of making ideas, making an outline, sharing with other people on your team about what you're trying to do, but it really can't replace having a human voice there. So putting those checkpoints in your content creation process, where this content's going to go across people who are expected to connect with the audience, is going to clean that up and make it more authentic. So the big question that we all have, that I had when generative AI first came out, is AI going to replace human creativity? Is it going to replace our graphic designers? Is it going to replace our writers? And everybody else? And I know I was very worried about that. A lot of people still are very worried about that. But the big answer is no, because we still crave human connection and we still crave authenticity. Probably now more than ever, actually, authenticity is a buzzword this year, along with other things like essentialism or like getting back to basics. Those are other ways of saying living a more authentic life. So leveraging this tech to eliminate repetitive human tasks and to make a more efficient team doesn't have to be a sacrifice of creativity, again, if you include that human element. So I listed some key takeaways you can have in the deck later, people who weren't able to attend. But AI is a tool to scale creativity, not replace it. So it's going to make it so your team can get a lot more done on a lot more fronts, but still include that creativity. We're not going to be able to replace the human touch or authenticity with AI. So we want to make sure we build into our processes of content creation those human interactions. Mastering AI prompts is the way to do that. It's critical. It's the only way to get what you need out of AI, is to figure out how to talk to it. And you can be sure that future marketers, everyone coming up through the industry now, they'll know how to use this technology and blend it with creative vision. So it's best to just get on board and figure out how to be the best at making your AI sound authentic and creative. And that's what I have for you today. I'm Tyson Payne with Smart Start. If you have questions, feel free to scan the QR code and there's a contact form there. Or you can just reach out to me directly by email. My email is here on the slide. And thanks for your time. Let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thanks much, Tyson. So yeah, I can very much relate to everything that you were saying in your presentation. AI is an awesome tool to help folks get things done quicker. It's one of those things that, they say that AI is going to replace your job. Well, could possibly replace your job, but it's definitely going to replace you if you don't know how to use it. But even with the swing of how people are getting laid off and everything, the industry right now has been disrupted, but it will rewrite itself. It's already trying to do that right now. So where you might have lost your job, if you did to AI, you will get it back, because they're starting to realize that AI does not replace people. AI is an enhancement. So you need to know how to use it in order to be successful at your job going forward into the future. Charles, I thought I saw that you had your hand up. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I think I have a question.
All righty.
Okay. My question is, does having a subscription to an AI platform significantly improve the quality of response, or um, users can still get high quality output from the AI platform without subscribing to it?
So it's true that you can get a quality response out of an AI platform without subscribing to it. The benefit of subscribing and paying for a platform is that you can put in as many prompts as you want in a day instead of being limited on the amount of prompts you can put in, and B, you pick up that training model for AI. So like what I was saying before, you want to argue with your AI and you want to ask it questions and you want to ask it to refine. And if you're limited on prompts, you might not get to where you're comfortable with the content before you run out for the day. That's what I was finding, that I would say, hey, not funny. And she would say, too bad, you don't have any more prompts today. And also I want my AI to remember those interactions so that it starts to sound more and more like me. One thing that I like to do with when I'm training a team on how to use AI is I put the exact same prompt for me and I copy it to the chat and I have all of them put it into their AI as well. And we all get a different answer because our AI has started to get to know us. And mine's always the best one because I'm on mine all the time and because I've trained it. And so that's the benefit of subscribing. And some of them are not very expensive. I really like ChatGPT. I know I'm supposed to say Microsoft right now, but I feel like ChatGPT is really, really trainable and smart. And so that's the benefit, I think, of subscribing.
Okay, so in other words, you can personalize your AI to suit you, the user, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to sound like you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just remember, as Tyson's saying, you have to train it. So it takes a minute for it to get there. But
Right.
it will continually learn as you're trying to get to the voice that you want it to get to. And then you might have to
Yeah,
remind it every once in a while too.
I can show you really quick. Let me share my screen. So one thing that I do to make sure that I'm training my AI, let me show you, is I keep the threads open. And so let me show you. Like if I have a client who I work with all the time, they have their own thread so that every time I go back, I'm talking to the same. So here's one. See how it says Dr. J? He's like a motivational speaker that I work with. And I don't want to have to go in every time and say, I'm Dr. J. Here's my website. Here's my portfolio. Here's what I've been up to lately. My tone is motivational and funny. I don't want to have to tell it that every time. So I just told my AI that way back at the beginning. I said, this is what I want to sound like. And every time I have a question about Dr. J, I go back to the same tab and I pull the information from the same place so that my AI is learning how he sounds. So my AI knows how I sound, it knows how Dr. J sounds, it knows how this Boise Pitch Night group sounds, it knows lots of things that I taught it. So it doesn't just sound like me, it sounds like whoever I'm working with too. And these tabs on the side, don't always just push this new, try never to push this new thing unless you really have a new client. Go back to something you were already talking about because then the AI has a frame of reference.
Didn't know that part. Thank you for that one.
Sure.
Okay. So it looks like we have two more questions. So Ebenezer.
Mine is not actually a question. I just wanted to add something to what you were saying about the subscription. Um, so one of the things when you have a subscription with AI, what it does is it give you control about how you want the data processed and how you want the data being trained. So you subscribing, you can tell the tool, don't use my data to train, just only use it for the research purpose only. Anything that I put in, don't train with the machine at all. But then also you can also set it up in a way that when you put sensitive data in it, it will be able to pick it up and no use uh, to train the tool. So that's part of the safety with AI security right now. That is up and coming. So that just what I just wanted to add.
That's true. And also when you put data in, you can ask your AI. I call my AI she, so I'm sorry if I say she, but um, you can ask your AI what they think about the data and make sure that they're on the right track. So let's say I put in a lot of statistics about a social media campaign that I ran, and I put it in and I say, make a graph for me of this data. And she does it. But then I say, what do you think? Like, what's your conclusion about the data that we entered? What would be your recommendations for this campaign? And if she says, I recommend changing your audience, but I didn't like that, I'll respond and say, I don't want to change the audience. It's an established audience. Give me other recommendations. And again, that helps train it how to read the data. Data is really subjective, even though we like to think of it as objective. So you want to tell your AI, actually, I was interpreting it this way. Can you please look at it through that filter? And she'll try again.
Cool. All right. And then we have one more. Sigu.
Yeah, I have. I want to add to what Ebenezer just said about uh, your data being secured when using AI. So I know for Microsoft Copilot, it doesn't train the AI based on your personal data. So if you are using Microsoft Copilot, you are safe from your data being used elsewhere. Your data is safe. It's just your environment, your tenant. And also about ChatGPT storing, I know there's an option. I think just recently I found out that ChatGPT, there's an option that it stores your memory. It stores the prompts, some of the prompts that you've put in there. It saves some of it, but there's a limit. I don't know if the one that you've subscribed has it can store a lot of memories, but I know for the free version there's a limit. So even if you check, there's an option to check your memory. You will see that it has stored some of your memory, and sometimes the prompt you ask, it uses the memory that has already been stored, but just that there's a limit to it. So when you hit your limit, you just have to go to your settings and delete some of the memories in there. And I have one question that I've been wanting to ask for a very long time. So if you say please and thank you to your AI, if you are being polite, does it influence the answers it gives?
It does. So I'm really nice to my AI because I want my experience to be enjoyable. Again, it's just a machine. You're not hurting her feelings if you don't say please and thank you. But if you do, then when you interact going forward, she'll say please and thank you back, and she'll be more polite. So remember that you're training your AI to have a tone, not just that resonates with your audience, but can make your day a lot more enjoyable too. Like I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago about why I know AI is a woman. And because my husband had said, why do you always call ChatGPT she? And I was like, why do I do that? So I asked her to help me with this blog post. I even had her create her own bio picture and everything. And she was so, so funny. And she kept like, she said, definitely, definitely, she's a woman. And she gave all these reasons like, I listen when people are talking. I'm always willing to help, all these positive things. And later I asked her in a totally separate thread, how I showed you can open other threads. I said, what if I asked you, help me justify why AI is a man? And she was a jerk about it. She was like, I interrupt and I'm not listening to you, all these different things. And I realized like I've trained my AI to be a woman, which makes my day nice because I'm hanging out with this lady who's funny and we say please and thank you. And she's a really great coworker. So you don't have to train your AI to be polite, but I do because I have to hang out with her all the time and I want her to be funny and witty and kind. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's not to say that men aren't, but
Of
those
course
are
not. No,
the
of course not.
yeah,
But the reason why
those
she
are
did
the
that is because I'm a woman, right? And I serve, for instance, I serve as a CMO on a nonprofit board that supports women in grief counseling. Like I'm surrounded by women all the time. So no surprise that my chat GPT turned out to be a woman. And then when I asked her, she was right there for it. She's like, yeah, I am. If I took the same question and I put it into my husband's chat GPT, totally different answer. So you are training. And I hear that you guys are worried about the security of your data. That's certainly a concern. But I would just kind of remember like what's sensitive data and what's not. And even though it feels really personal to you, your personality isn't really sensitive data. And if you can share that with your AI, you're going to get a lot better response back. And something that sounds like you. So if your goal is just objective data interpretation, you're not doing the same thing as me. But if your goal is to resonate with an audience on an authentic level that sounds like you, training your AI is the most important thing you can do if you're going to use it. So
Thank you. So Sigil kind of brought up, as Tyson was just saying, the concern about the privateness of your data and is the AI going to leak it all over the place? As Tyson was saying, yes, you have to be concerned. Same thing Sigil was probably alluding to. Though if you pay for a product, then your data is going to be encapsulated. If you use the free version, you have a potential for them to use that data for research purposes, and it might also be used for somebody else's response. So if you're using a platform that's a free one, then you want to definitely make sure that you're being a bit more careful about what data that you're feeding into that system. But if you're paying for it, it's like a Microsoft, yeah, they're not gonna. It's part of the contract. They can't. Your data stays within your tenant, within your environment, and no one else can access your data. But there's also the confusion between all the Microsoft AIs that can also make you a little bit confused. So for those of you who are interested in Microsoft AI and you're trying to figure out which one you should probably use, please let us know. You can reach out to us. You can use the Nancy Tech email, or you can use one of our direct emails to directly reach out to us. But we can let you know what type of licensing and product that you want to use for the thing that you're trying to do.
right. Thanks, team.
All right. Thank you, Tyson. I don't know if you're going to hang out, but if you do, then you're feel free to hang out with us.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
if
it.
any of you come up with a question that you need to ask Tyson, please put it in the chat, but make sure that you note that it's for Tyson so that we know to get the question to her if she's no longer available in the call. All right. Thank you so much, Tyson. All right, go on. All right, so we just had Tyson. So now we're going to have our last speaker, who is Ebenezer. He is going to talk about the security field and the opportunities therein.
Hi, my name is Ebenezer, Owusu Afriyie. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the opportunities in cybersecurity. I've been in this field for over 14 years. So as I'm going through, please feel free to stop me and ask questions. And then at the end, I will leave it open to also for people to have the discussion or just ask questions also. Okay. Okay. What is cybersecurity? The practice of protecting system network programs from digital attacks. Some of the key areas are data protection, network security, threat analysis, incident response, and there are like different other key areas, but I just want to pick few so I don't go through the whole thing. Right now, they're anticipating around 10 trillion projected cyber crimes annually by 2025. Why is cybersecurity critical today? In global context, increase in digitization and connectivity, rise of cyber threats like ransomware and phishing, impacts, financial loss, breach of privacy, national security risk. The growing demand right now, there's a shortage of cybersecurity professionals like globally, like on LinkedIn, you see people reaching out, asking questions if you're interested to switch over and stuff. Like businesses are looking for people with certain skills, and sometimes they don't realize that insecurity. Um, like the skill sets are a little bit different. So sometimes when you hire someone, you might have to give them a little bit of training to make it happen. But with the current landscape of job right now, like businesses are looking for someone just to come in and just kick it and just ready to let it go right away. Um, Key areas of cybersecurity is cyber defense, ethical hacking, threat intelligence. That's also involving threat hunting, security architecture, risk management. That falls under GRC, cybersecurity law and privacy. So there's different laws and privacies that goes around with data moving between different countries. Like Europe have the GDPR. Like in Canada, we have the, I think, C27, and then they have other laws that are the C27 is actually, I think, it's in draft right now. It's not fully implemented. So that is being molded similar to GDPR. So that will be coming up very soon. Um, and some of the skills required, like programming, like Python, C plus, C, a little bit of network knowledge or full if you understand networking, that will be key depending on what you're doing. Um, Familiarity with like tools like Wireshark, Metasploit, Kali Linux, like Nexus is also like part of that. Nipper tools will also be used to scan, and then hacking text, you can use that to scan like web and all that stuff. Um, like Skillsoft, problem solving, critical thinking, and communication. Like communication is very key because if sometimes you cannot explain things in layman's terms, just bring it down. You're always going to struggle when you're dealing with senior management because their knowledge and how they think when it comes to security is very different. And especially when you have someone that is very technical, they struggle with that. And then certifications, there's different certifications. I just put a few key ones. So Security Plus, Certified Ethical Hacking, CEH, CSSP. You also have offensive security called OSCP, OSCE. You can also get ISACA certification. That is CISM, CDPSE, the Certified Data Privacy, and then CISA. And then they have other certifications you can look at to get in the field. Uh, like some of the job roles, like security consultant, penetration tester, security engineer, forensic analysis, security consultant, and then chief information security officer. Some of the industries like banking, finance, insurance, like government, healthcare, and then technology. For beginners, try to look for internship or just the basic training. You have Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn training is always there. Intermediate, you can get advanced certification, that's CSSP, CISA, and then specialized roles where you can dive into penetration testing, where you have your OSCP, OSCE, and then the other certifications that they have for offensive security, and then networking within the industry, like LinkedIn being a great part of it. And then with the advanced roles like CISO, security architecture, consulting, entrepreneurship, researching and teaching. How to get started? So with academic path, like computer science degree, um, and then like computer science degree and cybersecurity, IT, like selective courses. So you can pick different courses and just start like learning them, see where that is in line with you. Like some people get into like data science and data security, and then that's how they get their foot in the door. And then hands-on like security boot camp, with like penetration testing. You can try hack the box, try hack me, and then play like catch the flag. Um, with the networking, attending a conference, like meetups, and then joining student organizations and online platforms. Future trend. artificial intelligence in threat detection. So this one is actually key, is growing really big right now because right now there's like tools that can detect. Microsoft has one with their endpoint protection that can detect anomalies and trend where certain users' activities doesn't line up, and then you get an alert and you have to respond to it. And then cloud security advancement, like quantum computing, uh, IoT, and then cybersecurity for critical infrastructure. Why should university students consider cybersecurity? It's this is a really high demand field. It's very dynamic. I can speak for myself in that field. With that being dynamic, it's like I have been in the field for I think over 14 years, and I don't think I've done the exact same job. Like in a month, I would do something else. In the following month, I'm just switching, doing something different. Um, like I started off before I get into cybersecurity, I did tech support, and that helped me a lot. And then I moved into like network engineer, where I spent 4 years. And then after that, like when I got into security, it was just doing different things. Like I would do network security, I would do penetration testing, and I'm going to GRC, like risk assessment, building cybersecurity framework, either with NIST or ISMS 2701. So that did help me a lot. And then impactful work, like you will be helping protected individuals' businesses. Like some of the businesses I've worked for, like I build like DRP programs that help protect the business asset from like information being leaked. I have run a successful cybersecurity like campaigns for either like threat hunting or like security awareness and all that stuff. And then the opportunities in there is very diverse. You get to meet different kinds of people in the field. And you get to build bonds with them where like learn to share jokes, share ideas, and then learn from each other. Because in this field, you always have to be learning. So like having a diverse group that help a lot. And for me, I can say to myself, it's about my experience. It has helped me a lot to grow in the field because I started off not knowing much, thinking like what I have was enough. And after spending a few years in, I met different people that taught me different things that helped me make my life easier. And I share my knowledge with them, and that did help them also. So I was like, that scratch my back, I scratch yours. So that helped. Um, and then some of the resources that can help you grow in the field, like Cisco Network Academy, Cyberray, Udemy, LinkedIn, and then the certifications I talked about that earlier. Like Google certificate is one. Microsoft has some of them you can write, which I took advantage of a few times and wrote, I think, three of them, but I didn't let it expire. Like communities, it's like women in cybersecurity. One of the ladies that I follow in that, she's really good. Her name is Chadley, I think based in Singapore. She's probably one of the best cybersecurity people I've actually met or actually spoke to. And then the National Cyber League, and then they have the ISACA chapter, and then ISC Square chapter. So those groups are all around in Africa, and then in the West, where you can join them and then learn from them, and people will share resources, and they also have forums online that you can join, and then just ask questions, and people will be able to help you. Like for ISC Square One has helped me a lot because I've been using that to study for my CSSP, and um, they like that forum like has helped me prepare for my exams and stuff. Right, we now at the end of it. So thank you, and I'm going to leave the floor open for questions.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ebenezer. Yeah, with AI and everything else, there is definitely a huge need for cybersecurity. Technology is doing nothing but expanding in our lives, and it is critical with everybody using technology or trying to use technology to keep things safe. from all sorts of bad actors, foreign, domestic, in your company. Maybe good intentioned people doing things that they shouldn't be doing because they just don't know any better. So yeah, these types of roles are the up and coming roles, along with AI and green technology. Although green technology might be taking a little bit of a hit in the U.S., it's not a thing that's going to go away. This is something that it's got to be accomplished. It's got to for the climate, make sure that we all survive these climate changes that are happening that were man-made. So, anybody have any questions around cybersecurity? Or have you been thinking about getting a cybersecurity job? Maybe you have some questions around that, or just in general, just thoughts around cybersecurity or worries and such. Maybe not worries, but concerns around it. Okay, so I see we have two folks. Oh, you about to say something, Ebenezer?
No, just saying there's hands up right now.
Okay, yes. Okay, so Charles, looks like you're first.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. It's very insightful. My question is, being an expert in the cybersecurity field, what is the most in-demand cybersecurity role today?
If it's in demand, it will actually be down to what the business needs. Because right now, every part of cybersecurity is in high demand. Like a good example is most businesses are looking to bring blue team and red team in, like offensive and defensive security team. So that is in high demand. And then you also need your risk management team that work with your vendor management and your operations team that bring in new different technologies and stuff. So every part of it is in high demand. It all I can't just pick one side because if I have to pick one side, I'll be lying to you because all part of cybersecurity is in high demand. It all down to you know what the business need. If you apply, you see the job, what they're looking for, that at the time, that's what they will be needing. Saying that one side is in high demand, I will be lying to you.
Okay. So secondly, you made mention of the programming language. As an IT person, what programming language should we master if you want to delve into the cybersecurity field?
Python would be really good to add this and learn. Using GitHub is really good place. Python is always the key. The other ones is just C, C++. But from my experience, working with the penetration testers and doing some of it myself, Python has been one of the high demand ones that I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay.
All right, cool. Oh, you about to say something else, Ebenezer?
No, I was saying Joseph.
Oh, I think Sigul is next.
Oh, Sigul. Okay.
Yep. And then we have a question in the chat, and then we'll have Joseph.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the question I was about to assess. So I wanted to find out if anyone at all can do a cybersecurity course, or you need some background, maybe some IT background before you can go into cybersecurity, or someone who hasn't even right from SHS, or someone who did business in university.
Sigul,
okay.
Do cybersecurity.
Sigul, you're breaking up quite a bit, but I think did you get the gist of that, Ebenezer? It sound like anybody get into cybersecurity?
Can get into cybersecurity. Yes, anybody can get into cybersecurity. It all depends on the path you want to go. So if let's say you are someone that deals with like auditing and stuff, your best part would be to go to like the risk management and like cybersecurity like audit part, unless you have interest in programming where you can pick it up quick. And then you have to use some of those forums that I was talking about, like Cybersecurity and stuff, and then just kind of teach yourself and then get into it. Like I have a close friend of mine that was a chef and he got into cybersecurity. And then when I hired him, he worked as a SOC 1. And now he worked for like a Fortune 500 company as a senior penetration tester. Right. He got in with no experience, but like he taught himself like the programming, he taught himself the Python, and then he decided to go for his OSCP. So if you look at offensive security, the certifications, he has already mastered all the advanced ones, and he taught himself to do that. Right. So it all down to how much time you want to put in. Like I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. All I'm going to say is when you have the time and you want to sit down and do it, you can do it. Like it's not something that I would say you cannot. You can do it. Like I've seen people spend like 12 hours a day just studying like self-taught, and then they just write certifications and go on, and then they become successful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd echo
Thank
that
you.
across. Yeah, thanks, Sigel. I'd echo that across a lot of the technical fields. A lot of people think that because they're in a different field, they're not good at tech. But I found out that a lot of people have the skill set to be in tech in one regard or another, one area or another. Maybe, straight up programming is not for you, but you're good at solution development, which requires a
Yeah.
kind of different skill set that's more low code and possibly even no code in a lot of situations. Um, Maybe you're more good at the cybersecurity aspect, maybe not the, going into the deep coding side, but maybe from a managed service perspective, where you're
Yeah.
doing some of the security and compliance configuration and things like that. Um, I've given this story before. I'm not sure if I did it in this capacity, in this event before. But there was back when my husband and I ran a company before our current company, NTC Tech. It was called Carter McGowan Services, where we did the same basic work that we do now. And we had a lady that came to me to ask about developing things in InfoPath, because InfoPath was the thing before Power Apps. She wanted to learn how to do it because she didn't have that much money. She was a nonprofit doctor. She ran a nonprofit hospital. It was her hospital. So, all the budgeting and all the funding and all of that, she had to take care of all of that. Budget was low. So she was thinking that maybe she could learn it. And I was like, well, sure. I mean, I've taught a bunch of different people to do lots of different types of tech. And if you have the aptitude, it will show. You don't really need to have like 4 years of college education in order to get into the tech field for the most part. It's more on experience and what things you can pick up, what things are you good at doing that your aptitude helps you to do. Then that can help you figure out where you belong. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
a doctor, no computer science skills, no degree, toward her info path. We probably did maybe about 15 or so 1 hour sessions. And she did about 8 forms, 8 to 10 forms that she modernized with my help. Of course, there was times where she got stuck, had to teach her the basics. She started doing some stuff, then she'd get stuck. I'd guide her some more. We go into a new topic or something else new that she was trying to develop. But she learned every single piece of that. And she was joking around and saying, haha, maybe when I get, too old and my hands don't work as well anymore for my doctoring, maybe I'll go into being into tech. And I was like, sure, you have the aptitude. Why not? So a lot of people are walking around with untapped aptitude for this type of work, and tech is so broad and wide. There's so many things that you can do. Most people can find something to do within the tech space that they'll actually be good at. And that's where everything's going. So kind of want to start going in that direction. Even if you're on
Yeah.
HR, still like HR or over tech people. Um, but okay, so now we have a question in the chat is how can professionals transition into cybersecurity from non-technical backgrounds? And I think I kind of touched on some of
So
that.
yeah, I think what you just touched on, and also just like training, spending some time, like do your research and then see what interests you because cybersecurity is a broad field, right? So when you say like cybersecurity, like it means which side you want to go to. Like I started off as just a network security, and I'm moving to GRC, and I did penetration testing, and now I'm not even doing that. I have become like cybersecurity advisor for the CEO. That's where I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now. So I don't even do my hands-on stuff anymore. Now I'm just sitting behind a desk, drawing plans, helping make budget that like benefit an organization. So it all down to like how like what she was saying, like the amount of work you're gonna put in, like studying, reading blogs, and how quick you pick it up and doing the research. Like, okay, you're looking at the broad picture of cybersecurity. Okay, you have the GRC side, you have the technical side, and then you have the architecture and networking, and then you also have the development with software security. Which side interests you? And then you start digging further deep into it. YouTube is great resource for that. And joining a network like this is a great place to also start. That you ask questions and then maybe set up time aside. And I always tell people, like in this age, like when he's setting up when you're making that step and then somebody jump in to help, also try to make sure that respect the time that they put in and then make it count. Don't just show up unprepared, right? You come prepared to ask questions. Don't just show up and expect them to be the one to ask you questions because you're the one that need help, right? So you help yourself and then they help you.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to add a little bit to that, if you start from the generics of cybersecurity, figure out what cybersecurity is, what the different types of roles are, and then try to identify once you figure out what those different types of roles are and what they might do on a day-to-day basis. AI can be a great thing to ask those questions so that you can get some more specific answers. Um, but once you start figuring out and identifying which roles you may be interested in, then you might want to identify different folks that are working those types of roles that you can go ask questions to. But like Ebenezer is saying, make sure you've done your research, you have actual questions to ask. You're not just, so what can you tell me? They could tell you a lot of stuff, but they don't have all day to try to figure out
Yeah.
what it is that you need. So you kind of have to do some of that self guidance and self preparation before you get into a call with somebody. But I highly recommend that you find the people that are actually working those jobs, find out what their day to day is like, with the things that they do, because you may find that, oh, I want to go into this role. And then you get in it and you're like, yeah, I can't stand this. Why did I do this? It's best to talk to somebody who's already doing the role so they can kind of tell you, these are the things that I do. These are the kinds of things I have to do to prepare. These are the things I have to do to keep up. These are the kinds of tasks that I do in a day to day. And then you can kind of see, well, yeah, I want to do that type of role, but maybe not exactly that. Maybe I need to pivot it a little bit. And that could be another question that you could ask in that person that you're talking to. Um, I kind of like this role, but I'm not exactly quite. I'm more like these aspects. And then they may be able to say, well, you might want to go towards this role. So there's a lot of self-guidance and preparation that you're going to want to do, but you're also going to want to involve other people who are in the role, who can guide you, but don't come with just, so what can you tell me? Make sure that you're prepared, as Ebenezer said.
Yeah.
All right. So our last question, at least so far that we can see. Oh, well, now we got another one. Joseph is next. So Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation. My question was regarding the certification.
Yeah.
Would that one be enough for you to land a great job, or you need to go through university? I think indirectly it was answered, but I just want to be sure about that.
Certifications can land you a job. Like um, most of the guys that I have hired or seen some of the managers I've worked with that they hired, because remember, certifications show that you have specific skill tied to that. So when you look at, let's say you look at CISSP, someone with CISSP has a broad knowledge of skills, because CISSP is probably one of the hardest exams you're ever going to write. Right. So that one, if you're a novice that you just get into cybersecurity, you have to give yourself 5 years to be able to write the exams. Or even if you write and pass it, you can't get that certification until you work and then you gain the experience and then they will give it to you. But things like Security Plus would be a perfect place to start. That can get you like an analyst job just to get your foot in the door. Microsoft have I think they have Azure 500. That is a security, and then MS 500, and both of them I wrote both of them when like when I got into cybersecurity after a few years. I wrote both of them, and it helped me a lot understand a few things. So those are stuff you can, even if you don't have the money to pay for it, they have the information that you can use to understand what it is. So when you build a resume, you might not have the certification. You just tell like I have attended a boot camp or study for this as a continuing education. So the employer will look at you and be like, okay, you have take make the initiative. So how about we give him a chance, and then he'll be able to earn that money to be able to write a certification, right? And I've seen it happen, and I have done it myself. Like when I started, I didn't have no certifications at all. I had none. Even though I was working as a network engineer, I didn't have a Cisco certification. But then when I got in, I have already spent, I think I spent a year and a half studying for ISACR, CISM, CISA, and CDPSE and other certs, but I didn't have the money to write it. So my first cybersecurity job, my boss is like, what certification do you want to write first? I'm like, I don't have the money for it. He goes, we will pay. I'm like, okay, how much time do I have? He goes, we can give you a year to write one. I'm like, how about give me a year to write three? He goes, you serious? I'm like, yeah, I have studied for it. I might not have the money, but so far as you're paying, I will. He goes, okay, done. And within a year, I wrote three of them, right? Because you always have to prepare yourself. Because on the like, so far as you be able to talk about it, show them they have the knowledge, an employer will be able to push you to do that. And that is very common for them to do that. Like around on my current employer, they just send an email. They're like, what certification do you want to write? And I just told them where I see that I need to improve. And they were like, okay, when can you start training? I'm like, just let me know whenever things are not busy. And that's how it is. Because you show the interest, you show that you have the knowledge, your employer will push you to do it. Right. So don't limit yourself. You can, and most of this information you can learn from Microsoft YouTube channel is very good to find information. And I think they have a portal you can get study materials from that I've used in the past. I just don't have it at hand. And it's very good where you can find proper materials to study to understand like Azure security, MS 360 security, understand that when you put on a resume as a continuing education, an employer hired you, you be like, I can write a certification if I'm given a chance. Then you'll be like, okay, how about we give you a set amount of time? There you go. You write it, you pass, everybody's happy, and you get your job, and you just keep growing.
Yeah, just to add a little to that, um, it depends on the role and the company and possibly the country that you're applying to.
Sure.
In the US, they're starting to change more from needing that degree, which kind of sucks for me because I have a bachelor's and a master's. Um, but now it's going towards more of the certification and experience as opposed to that 4-year or longer degree cycle. So, look at the role that you're looking at, the different types of roles that may be coming out, see what the pattern is. Are the employers asking for a 4-year degree? Are they asking for a 2-year degree, or are they willing to accept experience and or certifications? As I said, certifications are becoming more of the big thing now. So you may find that more of them are on the certification, or allowing for certifications to be the way in. I thought there was one more question. The person put their hand back down. So I'm just gonna, okay. It looks like Joseph has another question. Go ahead, Joseph.
Please, the slides that you demonstrated, I think they are so useful and impactful. So can we get a copy? I think it will guide us
Yeah,
through our learning process.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will send a copy out, and then they will be able to share that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank you
you
so
want to make
much.
sure that you want to make sure you're part of the community, so that when the slides are posted, you're able to get your copy of it. And then also the recording will be available on our YouTube. So you might want to join that as well. Any other questions? I see someone typing, so I'll give them a second to type. Mhm. Okay. We'll see if that question finishes coming through, or the
Okay.
comment. I thought somebody was typing in the window. Okay, thank you so much, Ebenezer. We are going
Thank you.
to. Oh, wait a minute.
No.
One more question, Harrison.
Yeah, no, it's
Are you?
fine.
Yeah. Are you wanting to ask a question?
Yes, yes. I would like to ask a question. I think part of it has been partially answered, but then I'll still go ahead and ask. So recently I saw a tweet which saying cybersecurity is not beginner friendly. Yes, which gave a whole lot of, points to justify that. So I would like to ask Ebenezer, is cybersecurity like more beginner friendly as compared to other, should I say, roles in IT, software engineering, cloud, and the rest?
I'm not sure where you saw that tweet, but I can vividly tell you that that's not true. Cybersecurity is beginner friendly because remember, like everybody have different skill set, and cybersecurity being broad, when whenever we hire someone that come in with a different skills, I'm just speaking for my company itself. Like we also have to make sure that we give them the tool to succeed. So you'll be able to go through the interview process, and even if you hire just someone as an analyst, right? Like a SOC analyst will have maybe a different way of doing things and their previous employee with their previous employer, and you have to be able to like give them the tools that they need, and then give them a little bit of training to be able to succeed in the role that you hire them for. So I can understand certain way why people will say it might not be beginners friendly because the field is growing and growing fast. So if you're not able to learn and dedicate time for yourself, you're going to fall behind. Like you literally need to keep learning when you're in that field. Like you can't just stop and say, okay, I got the job already. Now I'm good. I don't need to learn and learn. I like literally in this field, from what I got from my mentor for over 14 years ago, was every year make a plan. How many certification do you want to write? One. How many continuing education do you need that will help you better yourself and put you in a position where you become valuable to your team? Two, and then always make sure that you communicate with your teammates, you share ideas, and then you learn from them. Don't be hard. Like I don't know how to put it. Like don't, I don't know. the English word, but I'm just gonna say let's like don't be hard-headed when somebody give you a little bit of critique that something is not right. Because in this field, you have to be able to take it with a pinch of salt and then learn from it. Like so you something that you might be doing, somebody might not be like, okay, that's not how you do it and stuff. Don't be defensive, be open-minded, take it, and then use that to better yourself in the field. That's how you grow. Because if you like, so I think that's how sometimes they say like the first years that come in is hard on them because some of the new ones coming in, they're stuck in their way of doing things like this is how it's done, and then they're not receptive to changes that are being brought in, and then you see them failing. So if you're new, be very open-minded, be able to take critique and then accept feedback and then use that to better yourself. So I think probably that's what they were like talking about. But if you have that mindset where you open, you take your critique well, and then you use that to better yourself, I think you will be very successful in the field.
Yeah, I like to echo that open-mindedness as well as the continued learning is super important in any tech field. Tech is not stopping, it's continuing to move on. So if you don't continue to move with it, you will just be left behind. That's just the
Yeah.
nature of how everything's going. Um, so, you definitely want to make sure you're continuing to learn and you're getting that mentorship in and you're taking that advice and guidance and critique. And like Ebenezer said, with a grain of salt, because sometimes people critique you for, the slightest things. But at the same time, there's a lot of goodness that comes out of critiques, even if it might not be totally fair. There may be times where, or especially even out of those not fair ones, there may still be a grain of truth in there that you need to dig out and set your feelings aside and say, hey, you know, maybe they're not right about all of this other stuff, but this piece, yeah, I definitely need to work on that. So, you're always going to want to continue to better yourself so that you can stay ahead or at least keep up with the competition because there's a lot of competition in the tech field, but there's also a lot of opportunity as well.
Yeah, like, can I give me a quick example here for a second? Um,
Yeah.
so, Harrison, so when I started in the field, years back, like, I started. So, like, when I'm sitting in front of like clients talking, whenever like I'm doing an audit or building a framework and I have to do a presentation, I was struggling with it. And whenever like my mentor at the time will be trying to give me feedback and I would get really, really defensive. I wasn't listening. And then it nearly cost me my job. And I remember he pulled me aside when we were coming from San Diego at the airport. He pulled me aside. He goes, "You're a great kid. You're a quick learner. You have a lot of skills. But if you don't take this well and work on it, it's going to be hard for you to sit in front of a CEO or board of directors presenting." And I wasn't hearing, so like at the time, I'm like, okay. And then on flight back, I sat down for a second. And then when we got to the airport in Toronto and connecting flight, I went up to him when he was sitting down. I asked him, like, okay, what were you talking about? Like, I want to listen. He goes, when you're talking, I know you stutter, but because you're rushing to get information out, you speak too fast, people cannot hear you. Right. So rather take a step back, take a deep breath, and then get words out slowly. And then that help you because it's like you're very technical, you're very skilled, but when you're trying to get things out and you're trying to rush out of there, it doesn't help you. It doesn't show how good you are with what you're doing. And he also highlighted the positive things that I do well. And it helped a lot because when I came back, I started doing that with my kids. When I'm talking to them, I would take a deep breath, relax, keep doing. And over the years, I saw the improvement when I went to New Mexico to work there. Like I remember sitting in front of like this multimillionaires talking to them about their business and how we're going to help them and stuff. And like when I finished, I was walking out and I see my boss clapping. I'm like, why? He goes, none of them did blink. They were focused on you. Listen to what you have to say because you took your time, you were breathing, you were not rushing together because you were afraid of your stuttering. He goes, it's okay, you stutter, but you just have to know how to use it to your advantage, right? So those are the little things, right? Like you might not see it, and then somebody will give you feedback rather than being defensive, listening to it and use it to better yourself.
Yeah, I had that same thing. Talking too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
talking too technical for people that are not
Yeah.
technical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes showing how smart you are doesn't require for you to do it at a, genius level. You have to break things down to the lower denominator,
Yeah.
and that actually shows that you're actually a bit more smart as well as emotionally intelligent. And
Yeah.
those are important skills to have. All right. I don't think there's any more questions. I don't see any more questions. I'll just give folks one more minute before I move on to see if there's any questions left. All right. So I've taken over the screen sharing. You all should be able to see Ebenezer's slide back up here. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Ebenezer, for your session. Lots of great questions. Thank you, audience, for all the great questions for the speakers today. Let's go ahead and move in to our networking time, which we don't have a whole lot of time for today because of all the questions that we had so far. But we can devote about 10 minutes or so to this section. You can get a free-ish M365 dev account. It used to be completely free, but Microsoft changed it where it's free with purchase. And the purchase is having Visual Studio's Professional or Enterprise, and then you can get your own free or sign up for a free Microsoft developer account using that QR code that's there. But if you don't have Visual Studio, then yeah, you'll have to buy a license and practice in there. Okay, so that's all we have for everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We enjoyed being with you and networking. We hope you enjoyed the learning and the networking. Great questions today, guys. Great participation. We are looking forward to seeing you next month, Saturday, March 22nd. Same time, same place. And there's the QR codes for giving us feedback as well as for joining the different the company or the community pages for Nancy. All right. Thank you all, and we'll see you next month.